Hello, this is Apostle Dr. Jewel Williams. I told you I'm doing a wisdom moment. I'm doing just a couple of little talks on what's in my hand. And so I shared about David and the stones, but also in doing that, I thought about how God asked in the scriptures, he asked Moses, what is that in your hand? And he had his staff. And God told him to throw it down. When he threw down the staff, what happened? It turned into a snake. When he picked it back up, it turned back into his staff. And there were different things that God did with that ordinary piece of wood, that shepherd's staff. Um, and I just want to share with you today. First of all, you are that shepherd's staff, but you're in the hands of God. And in the hands of God, what looks ordinary can do extraordinary things. Think about it. Moses got this staff. It's just supposed to be a staff. It's a walking stick. You use it for one or two things. You use it to get the sheep in line. You use it to maybe knock a wolf to the side or something, and then you use it as kind of a support as you walk. That's it. That's all that a shepherd's staff is supposed to do. Yet here God takes the shepherd's staff and now it's turning things, it's shifting things, it's parting waters, it's turning waters to blood. It's doing things that it was not initially thought to be able to do. Well, it's the same with you and I. These ordinary bodies, these ordinary people in the hands of an extraordinary God. When he tells us to do a thing, he then empowers us to do it. We can then part some waters. What waters are we parting? We're making a way for people to go through places that they shouldn't be able to go through. We can come against, the plagues can, it was the plagues that he caused. Now, I'm not saying God wants us to cause plagues, but guess what? This is against the enemy of our soul. We then come and God, in the hand of God, we then are able to release a curse against the enemy, not people. Now let's get this straight. Against the enemy. Who is the enemy? The devil. Never, I'm not talking about people. I'm always talking about the enemy of our soul. But God uses us to tear down his kingdom, to put him to shame, if you will, because everything that Moses did with his staff, it was a knock in the face of the enemy. But he was an ordinary piece of wood. It was an ordinary staff. So you are the staff. But on the other side, what has God put in your hands? I talked about David had the 5 stones. What talent is in your hand? What gift is in your hand? You think it's just an ordinary gift. It's nothing special. But this is the thing. In the hands of a living God, an all-powerful, overwhelmingly powerful God, what seems ordinary becomes extraordinary. It can do the impossible. You can see lives change. You can see people who once were lost now become found, not because of you, but because you became the instrument. You used what was in your hand, whether that was prayer, whether that was encouragement. And I love the putting back to the with the 5 stones. Pastor Tiffany, as she preached about the 5 stones, she began to name the stones. Let me do the same thing. Maybe what's in your hand, those 5 things, that those grace gifts that are in your hand, the 5 grace gifts that's in your hand. Well, first of all, the first grace gifts that we have, or the 5 grace gifts, is what we've been called to be: apostles, prophets, teachers, pastors, evangelists. That's the 5 stones, if you will, that God gave to the church to be able to come and tear down the Goliaths and the mountains of this world that to try to set up against God. But what is your personal 5 stones? What is the grace that God has put in your hand? Maybe it's to be an intercessor. Maybe it is the prophet. Maybe it's a mother, a father. All of these roles you have, sister, friend, each of those have a uniqueness when placed in the hand of God. They move from just being, I'm just a mother. They move from, I'm just a father. They move from, I'm just, and you fill in the blank, to they becoming gifts that God uses to tear down the Goliaths that roam in the earth. So what's in your hand? Are you using it? Are you giving it to God and letting him come and not only tear down that which the enemy is trying to do, but to stop the fear and intimidation that the enemy tries to do. Because remember, the children of Israel, they wouldn't go to war against Goliath because they were fearful. David said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? He basically told them, I'm going to cut off his head and feed him to the birds. So, God will say, I will cut off the head of the enemy concerning you. And basically, with no head, you have no direction. Without a head, the rest of the body can't function, because this is where the brain is. This is where the resource comes to make everything work. If the head is cut off, the body dies. God is saying, if you cut off the head of the enemy, the thinking of it, the mechanism of them, then it must cease. So what's in your hand? Are you using it? If not, start. God bless.